A pleasant day to our Professor Rosiler Sebastian and to our dear classmates. I am Maria Cristy Eugenio, the discussant for this topic entitled Self-Perception Theory. Self-Perception Theory, proposed by Darrell Bem in 1972. Darrell Bem, the originator of the theory, was the first psychologist to write about self-perception theory. He concluded that when people's attitudes about something are weak or ambiguous, they will observe their own behavior and attribute an attitude toward themselves. So there are times people behave unconsciously, especially when they are in the middle of chaos. After that, they tend to reflect on the behavior that was expressed during that situation and realize if it was good or not. That is the concept of the self-perceptions come in. It is about reflection of behavior in responding social stimulus. Self-perception theory provides a similar explanation for emotion by suggesting that people infer their emotions by observing their bodies and their behaviors. In other words, people's emotions and other feelings come from such action as facial expressions, postures, level of arousal, and behaviors. So emotion can be expressed through facial expressions, postures, and as well as the behavior of a person. Like for example, when a person is angry and upset, his or her behavior will automatically change unconsciously. Everyone has experienced the self-perception effect. Imagine for a moment that you have had a terrible day. Several things have gone wrong and you feel very irritable and grouchy. However, you have made previous plans to meet up with some friends for a small social gathering that evening. When you arrive, you smile and elicit warm, polite behavior. It is challenging to scowl and maintain your irritability at a party with friends. So you smile instead and in fact pretend to be happy. So that means our behavior defines our feelings. Self-perception theory says that people learn about their own attitudes and character traits by observing their own behavior. This mainly happens when we are unclear about our feelings towards something and then go on to attribute our attitude or belief to some realization around our behavior.
So in this video, let's see how people think about their thoughts. Here are some examples. So self-perception theory states that people's attitudes are developed by observing their own behavior, respectively thinking about their own thinking.
Introspection. It involves self-reflecting on one's thoughts and feelings. People also learn about themselves by observing their own behavior. When our beliefs or feelings are unclear, we infer them from our behavior. So self-introspection is an important part of self-awareness and can help people gain insight into their own feelings and behavior. By implementing self-introspection practices, we will gain a greater sense of self, better relationships, and stronger decision-making skills. An introspective person tends to evaluate his or her behavior, thoughts, feelings, actions, beliefs, and personality. It is more like knowing what you really want and need by exploring yourself to have a meaningful life. In everyday life, people observe other people's actions and behaviors and make inferences about others' attitudes based on what they observe. When people see how another person acts in a particular situation, they often attribute the behavior to the person's traits and attitudes. For example, if you view someone in a park recycling a plastic water bottle rather than throwing it in the garbage, you might infer that the individual is concerned about the environment. You are learning something based on your observation towards other people's behavior. Even the way people walk can affect the way they feel. Test this with yourself. When you get up, walk back and forth across the room, shuffling with your shoulders hunched and your eyes looking down at the floor. What do you feel? Imagine sitting slouched over all day, sighing when people speak to you, and talking in a really low voice. You probably feel a bit down or depressed. Now try walking across the room, taking long strides, swinging your arms high, and smiling. This is the moment where people come to think and realize things that happen to them, to assess their emotion, their behaviors, and attitudes toward a certain things. This is where the self-reflection starts. Importance and implications of self-perception theory suggests that when people's internal awareness of their attitudes or emotion is weak or ambiguous, they can view themselves in much the same way as an outside observer. It is possible to rely upon external cues or behaviors to infer people's inner states. So the self-perception effect allows people to gather important cues from their external environment and apply them to understand what attitudes or emotion they are experiencing internally. Example, you feel frustrated of not achieving something and you feel so sad about it. But when you see people experience the same thing and respond to it positively by striving really hard, you will input it in your mind that it is okay to fail and to feel sad sometimes and make it as your motivation. The self-perception effect also may have an important application when attitudes and behaviors are incongruent or when behavior change is desired. Behavior change might inform individuals of their internal attitudes about drinking. For example, individuals who communicate their intentions about drinking out loud may infer their attitudes about drinking from hearing themselves speak. So, the behavior of telling others, I am going to cut down on my drinking, may allow individuals to infer the attitude or internal awareness that their drinking has created problems for themselves. To end this session, I would like to share this quote with you. What we perceive about ourselves is a greatly a reflection of how we will end up living our lives. By Stephen Richards. So keep motivated. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching.